Hi everyone and welcome to Live Penguin TV. My name is Jordan, I'm your host tonight, and this evening we also have the lovely Heather with us, and she's going to be fielding all the wonderful questions that you guys have this evening on the comments thread. Now, apologies, we have actually started a little bit earlier. The penguins look like they're a little bit early tonight, so we didn't want you to miss out, so I just wanted to jump onto this screen a little bit earlier to make sure we are sure to get the first penguins crossing the beach tonight. So just quickly, if you have a look straight ahead of you tonight, this is the beach that we have here on Phillip Island at the Penguin Parade in Victoria, Australia. So we're in southern Australia and we have the largest colony of the little blue penguins, the smallest species of penguin in the world, here with us on Phillip Island. So they are going to be crossing all along this beach tonight, but the main pathway we're going to be focusing on, I'm going to slowly make my way across, so I hope I don't make you seasick, is just over here. So as I said, I haven't seen any penguins just yet, but we are actually counting our penguins every single night. Oh my gosh, look at the beautiful moonshine that we have just here on the beach as well. That's so lovely. So I'm just going to zoom in because our penguin counters who count penguins every single night have noticed that there's a few penguins right at the water's edge. So I'm going to zoom in here because this is a really popular pathway for these penguins to make their way home. And in fact, look, I think I can just see two. Hello, you early birds. How are we doing? Wow, they are very, very keen penguins over here. It's still fairly light that you guys might be able to see at the moment, and what we see every night here at the Penguin Parade is the penguins making their journey from the ocean across the beach and back to their burrows on land here on Phillip Island. Oh, you can see them waddling back into the water because it's still a little bit bright outside. The reasons penguins actually cross the beach at sunset is because they know that at around about that time, at that light level, predatory birds, which would love to snack on a penguin for dinner, actually head back to their nests in the evening. And penguins are really well camouflaged out in the water because they've got navy blue feathers on their back. So these two, it looks like we're just a little bit too eager to start crossing the beach right now. Hey guys, but they're not swimming back into the water. They can probably hear their friends out in the ocean and they're waiting for a big raft or a big group of penguins out to sea, which is called a raft, waiting for them to make their way back and arrive just on the water's edge here as well. So when I say they're listening out for a raft of penguins, I mean that they're making a sound called a huck. It sounds like huck, 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 huck. And in penguin language, that means, is it dark enough? Is there anyone else out there? Can we cross the beach yet? What's going on? Because crossing the beach is a really, really scary time of the day for these little penguins because on the open sand, they're very vulnerable and very subject to predation. So right now, because it's twilight, there might potentially still be some predatory birds around the place. So they're going to be waiting until they're 100% sure that it's safe to cross the beach and head back on land. So I might just zoom out a little bit. We'll come back to those two in just a second. I want to see if there's any other penguins that have started to come a little. Oh, I think I might have spotted some. What's going on over here? Oh, yes, I've spotted a few more. Here we go. Hi, everyone. So they're a slightly smaller group, and you can see that they're hanging around right at the edge of the water, and they're looking backwards. So, looks like there's those two. They're joining that first group. That's exactly what I would be doing if I were a penguin. Oh, and if you have a look, there's a little bit of a commotion just behind the penguins. Might be a raft starting to make their way in. So they've just dived out of focus. So I might zoom back out a little bit so we can have a bit better view of the beach. My goodness, they are very keen penguins to get back home this evening. There they are. They're making me work tonight. Look at them getting buffeted by the waves. Hi, guys. So for those of you who just tuned in, we actually did start our live stream a bit early tonight because these friendly little penguins have decided to shock us and surprise us and come a little bit earlier than expected. So we get a little bit more penguin time tonight, which is very exciting. Look at them swimming back in the water. because I think there might be a slightly bigger raft out in the ocean going hack, 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 and calling out to these penguins that are right at the water's edge just here, so that they can have a nice big group to cross the beach all together because there's safety in numbers. So while they're just hanging around at the edge of the water, I'll just tell you a little bit about where we are tonight here on Phillip Island. So I think I mentioned earlier that we are on Phillip Island in Victoria, Australia, and we are on the land of the Bunurong people. Now, the Bunurong people are the traditional custodians of the land here on Phillip Island, and their name for Phillip Island in their local language is Malau. So I would like to acknowledge the Bunurong people as the traditional custodians of the land here on Phillip Island on Malau, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge any First Nations people that we might have here with us today. In the comments, please tell us where you're from, and if you know the lands of the traditional custodians on which you are viewing this from tonight, please add it in the comments. We had a great response last night with people telling us what country, what nation they were on. It's really great, and I encourage all of you to learn a little bit more about the Indigenous history of the people in your area as well. So thank you so much in advance for that, guys. It was lovely. Alrighty, so it looks like these little penguins are still hanging about. They're still a little bit worried, and I don't blame them. I believe, and Heather, with the weather, might jump in just now, I believe we actually have nearly a full moon tonight. Can you tell us how much of a percent full the moon is tonight?
Folks, you can actually, if you look at the water, that's moonlight on the water, and it's a 99% full moon. It's been a beautiful day here on Phillip Island for our first day of spring. So tomorrow night we'll have our full moon, but it's just a little tiny bit off tonight. So it's about 10 degrees here now. And
10 degrees, so it's chilly.
Yeah, wow, yes.
But we get to be inside and bring the penguins to you in your very own living room. Normally, Heather and I would be out on the boardwalks. We'd be chatting to guests. We'd be out in the wind, in the rain, chatting to people, talking about penguins, running tours and things like that. But while we have restrictions, while we can't have anyone join us here at the Penguin Parade, it's lovely to be able to bring these little penguins home to you in the comfort of your very own home, and hopefully it inspires a love for these little guys, for these little penguins, and hopefully once restrictions ease, we'll be able to have you back at the Penguin Parade very, very soon. And if you do come to the Penguin Parade in the future and you recognise myself, Jordan, or Heather's face, please do give us a yell. It's lovely to know that people have been tuning in while restrictions have been going on. So I'm just going to zoom in on these guys as well and see, oh, they've made it out of the water just a little bit as well. Good work, guys. So brave. Now, I've noticed that we're getting so many comments on our Facebook and YouTube feed. So thank you so much for your enthusiasm, all your passion and all your questions. Now, I've got a little bit of exciting news. So while we might not be able to get to every single one of your questions on this live stream tonight, which will run for approximately 20 to 25 minutes, we are going to be able to get back to you within 24 hours and answer all those wonderful questions that you have on the Facebook feed, because we are going to have one of our very own rangers here at the Penguin Parade, who is an expert on penguin knowledge, be able to answer them within 24 hours. So you can tune in night after night and keep asking those questions, but rest assured we will actually be getting back to you within the next 24 hours on Facebook only, not on YouTube, unfortunately, because there's some tech issues that I don't quite understand, but we aren't able to comment on those ones on YouTube, but we will definitely get back to you on Facebook. So rest assured, we will be getting back to you, but Heather will be popping in a few times throughout the stream with some of the questions that you guys have tonight. So hang in there. Thank you again so much for joining us tonight, and thanks in advance for those questions too. What's going on, little ones? Look, they're very nervous, and you know what? I don't blame them. Oh, they're starting to move. You're so brave going in with such a small group. What I am going to do, folks, is just zoom out a little bit, and so we can have a little bit more of a view on the beach to see if we can see any penguins crossing anywhere else. So we've got that small little group at the middle of the screen that we were just focusing on now. Doesn't look like there's any that way. How about on the other side? Let's have a quick squeeze. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Jordan. So Renee would like to know the birds that are the predators of the penguins when they're on land.
Great question, Renee. Thank you for that. So the main predators, birds of prey for penguins when they start crossing the beach at night are big birds of prey. Things like swamp harriers, white-bellied sea eagles, wedge-tailed eagles, maybe hawks and falcons, any of those big raptor birds. And that's why, especially look how tiny a tight-packed group these penguins are here tonight. They're really, really nervous. On nights like tonight, are we focusing? Yep, there we go. On nights like tonight, when we've got a fairly low tide, which means there's a long stretch of beach to cross for the penguins, it's a bit scary because the penguins have so much further to go compared to if it was a high tide when they could just surf the waves in like cool surfer dudes and wash up into the rocks without having to cross this open sandy beach at sunset. But because it's starting to get a little bit darker now, the penguins feel like those birds that I just mentioned before, so swamp harriers, sea eagles, wedge-tailed eagles, and those big birds, they've returned to their nests because they need to use the light to return to their nest at night so that they're not caught out themselves. But the penguins, I think, are going to be particularly nervous tonight because, like Heather mentioned, there is a full moon, or well, it's nearly full. So that means it's actually brighter than what it would normally be. And because we have a beautiful clear night, that means it's actually going to get darker later. So the penguins are a little bit more hesitant in crossing that open sandy beach. And I do not blame them one bit. They don't want to end up being someone's supper ant. Oh, hello, look who we have here. I think we've just spotted that probably slightly larger raft that was out in the water. And look how much more confident these penguins are now that they've got some more friends. So folks, there's safety in numbers. You can see there's one penguin struggling at the back. He's using his little flippers to maintain balance and make sure he doesn't fall on his belly. But we might follow this first big main group, and I believe we've had a start to the count tonight. So every single night since 1968, we've actually been counting penguins with professional penguin counters. So once the first set of birds get to the halfway point on the beach, that's when we start our 50 minutes of counting. So 50 minutes. And we've been counting them this method nearly every single night since 1968. And the reason we start the count at this time is because once the penguins get to the halfway point on the beach, they know there's no point going back. So if there's something scary, instead of returning back to the ocean where they feel safe, they'll do their dangerous dash and they'll skedaddle up to the rocks on land where they can hide in burrows and under vegetation and rocks and things as well. Look at these guys picking up the pace. Wow, they are really gunning for it. You can see the difference in their walking pace when they get to this section of the beach. Now they've got a few rocks to climb, so they are expert rock climbers. Maybe not quite as good as the rock hopper penguin, but I reckon for their small stature, for the smallest species of penguin in the world, standing at about 33 centimetres or 1 foot tall, they do a pretty good job at getting over all of these big basaltic rocks over here. All right, hi everyone. Trying to follow and find the first group. They are not slowing down. Their hearts must be going at 100 miles an hour because they've crossed that big open sandy beach. It's really scary. Sometimes we actually see these penguins taking a bit of a break on these rocks. But these guys, they look like they're not stopping. They've got things to do, places to be. They're not going to be wasting time on the rocks. All right. Hi everyone. Quite often we actually see the penguins stopping on these rocks to take a little bit of a break. But these guys, like I mentioned, they are on their way. And I think Heather is coming in with another question.
I've got some pretty exciting news for those who are counting the penguins coming ashore here. So the first group, I don't know how many everyone counted, but it was actually 96. So very close to the same number last night when there was 100. Yeah.
Very good.
But we do have a question from Josephine in the UK, Jordan, and she wants to know, do we track any penguins?
Oh, that is a very, very good question. So we actually do track, I'm just going to follow this guy while I chat to you about tracking penguins. So we're going to track this penguin at the same time. So we do actually do some radio tracking on our penguins, especially around the breeding time, because we're interested in where the penguins are going, where the food is, and kind of what food they're eating. So we put a little radio tracking device on their little backs. They head out to sea, and we have to try and predict when the penguins are returning back on land. And the scientists, our penguin researchers, will head out. Sorry, it's just not focusing very well at the moment. And they have to come back and get that. Oh, and there's a rabbit as well. They have to get that radio tracking device off the penguin. So great question. Thank you so much for that, Josephine. We can see the penguins. Oh, I'm going to change my mind and go to this camera in the top right-hand screen, which is our penguin highway. We get a really good view of these guys crossing or walking up what we call the penguin highway just over here. And it looks like we've got one little penguin who is trying to catch up with the rest, which is very, very cute. I'll jump back to the live stream so we can see what other action is going on. So yeah, thanks so much. Keep those questions coming in. We'll endeavour to answer as many questions as we can on the live stream tonight. But rest assured, we will be having an expert penguin ranger within the next 24 hours, jumping onto this news feed and answering all those wonderful questions that you've got for us. So thanks you so much, and keep them coming in. Now we can see here that the penguins have kind of split up a little bit. And the reason is, just like humans, penguins actually have their own address. So you can see there's some that are starting to go up the hill and some in the kind of bottom middle of the screen heading up what we call the penguin highway. So just in a moment, I am going to, it looks like they're stopping. They're going to have a bit of a rest. Oh no, they're charging through, they're on their way. Very soon I will switch back to this top right hand camera and make it full screen so we get to see these penguins waddling up. Nice and close. So where are we? Bear with me. Here they come around the corner. Hi guys. So this is a really great view as well, because you really get to get up close and personal with the penguins and kind of see their own little individual differences. Some of them might be a little bit more chunky than others, and that's actually a good thing in the penguin world, because the bigger you are, the more chunky, the more weight that you've got on you, the more attractive you are, because that means you're really good at finding food, and that means you're going to be really good at finding a mate as well and providing for their young. Okay, I'm just going to hide that and we'll go back to our other screen and we'll see what is happening. For those of you who have joined us in the past, you'll notice that just like last night, we used to have a big pool just in front of us because we have had lots of rain. I don't need to zoom in that far. What are you doing, Jordan? So when we did have lots of rain, penguins could actually swim part of the way home. Now it's completely dry, so these poor little penguins actually have to waddle all the way rather than getting to swim just a little bit longer, which they're actually much better at doing. Now let's have a look at this penguin who is all by itself. What are you doing there and where are your friends? Just wait for that to focus in a little bit. So even though it is starting to get a little bit darker, penguins usually do like to spend a little bit more time with each other. So it is still a little bit light, which means there's the potential for a predatory bird to be about. But this penguin could not care less. Look at him or her. It's a little bit hard to tell. But penguins, when they come on shore, they do what we call preening their feathers. I'm going to get right nice and close so you can have a good look. Look at this beautiful, this is a very healthy looking penguin. And what it's doing is, come on, zoom in. Focus, please. Go, I might zoom out just a tad. Might make it a bit easier to see. Got to make sure, oh, it looks like we've been joined by a few other penguins, that it's important that the penguins have preened their feathers to make sure they're all in alignment. Look, this one's got some friends. So that they are feeling nice and comfortable and beautiful from when they head home to their mates. Now this penguin is not following the rest of them. The other ones that have just come through are very, very eager to get home. But this penguin is happy stopping, preening itself and not having a worry in the world. Maybe trying to look good for its mate back home. Potentially this penguin might even have a beautiful seaside residence and its burrow might not be too far away. So let's have a look at the wider beach and see what's going on. Have we got any more penguins starting to cross the beach? I think I can see a little bit of movement just on the rocks over here. Oh, yep, we've got a few more coming up. Another question, Heather?
Yeah, Jordan. Anne would like to know what time the penguins go out in the morning.
Oh, good question, Anne. Thank you for that. So have a look. If you're in Melbourne, if you go outside and have a bit of a look and see what the light levels are like now, the penguins will actually be coming out in around about the same light level, but in the morning. So it's usually about 1 to 2 hours before the sun comes up, and I'm usually fast asleep by then, so I can't tell you exactly when that is, but around about 6 o'clock at this time of year. So similar principle from when they're coming home at night. They want to make sure that they exit their burrows, cross the big open scary beach and make their way into the ocean before the sun comes up and before those predatory birds make their way out and are looking for a spot of breakfast. So thank you very much for that question, Anne. What I will say is in summer, it gets lighter earlier, so the penguins, and darker later, so the penguins actually have less time on land as well. Cool, thank you for that. Let's have a little bit of a look and see what's going on just over here. Hi, everyone. I think we've got Heather coming back again.
I'm back, folks. Joanne, I wanted to know, and I'm sure everyone else wants to know, how many penguins crossed the beach last night. So there were 686 penguins across the beach last night.
686 penguins, folks, crossed the beach last night, which is a lot of penguins for our poor penguin counters to count every single time that they come on land. So we are in, well, last night we were in winter, now we are in spring. Look at these little ones, hello. So normally winter is the quietest time for these little penguins to come on land. They can actually spend anywhere from 1 day up to 4 or 5 weeks out in the ocean. Look at this one just stopping to preen its feathers. But we are actually having slightly higher numbers at this time of the year compared to normal because some of these penguins here at the Penguin Parade have decided that it's a good time to start breeding. Normally they start their breeding season in late September, early October, but there seems to be plenty of food around for these little guys, which means that they have actually started breeding a little bit earlier. So that's why we're having some really good numbers coming in tonight. And we had a great question last night about what the largest amount of penguins we've ever counted crossing the beach was, and it was 4,398 penguins, which is fantastic. So, folks, I hope you've enjoyed some of this footage so far. If you've joined us at the Penguin Parade before, a huge thank you for coming and supporting all the conservation and research work that we do. While we don't have any visitors at the moment, if you would like to help us protect our little penguins and make sure that they get home safely and help contribute to their ongoing conservation and research, you can actually donate to the Penguin Foundation, and the link is just in the description below. You can make a donation or you can adopt a penguin, and that's a symbolic adoption. It's a great idea for a gift. We've got Father's Day coming up. Sorry, it just looks like there's a penguin hanging out on the Penguin Highway all by itself. Oh no, disappearing into the grass. Fair enough, that's no worries. But yeah, it's a great little it's a great gift if you would like to donate and help support us in our conservation work that we do here. I know one of my friends in Germany, Clara, she adopted a penguin for her brother for his birthday, so I think that's a lovely idea, cute idea for a gift, and you also get to help support and protect these little guys as well. Alrighty, let's have a look at this pair just now and see what they're up to. Did you see it stumble just there for a little bit? Oh, this front one is actually looking a little bit nervous. Can you see how low to the ground it's crouched? That's a little bit of nervous behaviour, so I think you'll definitely want to make sure that it's got its friend with him. It looks like these guys might be heading up the Penguin Hill, which isn't that tall for us, but imagine having tiny little penguin legs and maybe even having to waddle up to 2 kilometres home. So some of these penguins are lucky enough to have that beautiful beachside residence, and I think in a moment we're actually going to be passing a mortgage-free penguin home that we've built for these little penguins. There we go, there's one just off to the right now. So some of them don't have to put any work into their burrow. They can just claim one of these mortgage-free homes, and in fact, looks like someone's coming out of it. Hello, where did you come from? So this penguin over here, we can see it hiding just behind the bushes, having a nice big stretch. That's probably its home, just there. Now I can't really get a good view of it, apologies everyone. It looks like it's hiding behind some vegetation, so what I'm going to do is zoom out a little bit, and we'll go back to the rocks and see if we can see anyone hanging out just there. No one just yet, but what we do have, everyone, is some penguins coming down the Penguin Highway. Here they come. We can see some nice chunky penguins, and they've got a lot of food stashed in there. That looks like their chin. It looks like they've got some double chins, but that's where they store their food, and they've been out in the ocean eating pilchards, anchovies, so any small fish that they can swallow whole, as well as jellyfish, some shrimp, some prawns that we like to call them in Australia, and some squid as well. So they might be coming home to make sure that they can spend a few days on land, because when they come home, they're effectively on a diet. They're not eating any food. It's all carried within their bellies and stored as fat. They might be actually bringing some food back for some chicks that we have. Now, looks like we've got a little bit of a break here, guys. I can't see any penguins crossing the beach just yet. So this is a natural wildlife event. We don't tell the penguins where and when to come in, so we just have to wait for them to make their appearance. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Jordan. Dylan has a fantastic question, and that is, how long does it take the eggs to hatch?
That's a fantastic question. I'm going to come to that in just a moment, Dylan, because I've just found a penguin neighbour that I want to briefly introduce you to and then answer that question that you've got. Over here, we have a Cape Barren goose. Now, this is a type of goose, would you know it? And it's actually the second rarest species of goose in the world. Now, it looks like a fairly big bird compared to all these little penguins, but they are herbivores, so they only eat grass and little berries and things, so they're quite happy living among the penguins who are pescatarian. And because we are actually, oh, you're going too quick for me, Goosey. Because we're actually fox-free here on Phillip Island, there's so many of these guys, so we're really lucky to have a very healthy population of Cape Barren geese. Now, I believe it was Dylan who had the question of how long does it take the eggs to hatch. Fantastic question. So it takes around about 20 days or so for penguins, for the egg to develop in mum's tummy. And then it's mum and dad take it in turns after the female lays the egg for about 35 days. So these penguins believe in equality. Both mum and dad do take it in turns sitting on the egg, so that, for example, the mum can go out to sea and get some food while the dad's at home sitting on the eggs, and then she will come home and they'll swap over duties. And they also do that as well when the chicks hatch. They take it in turns, guarding them, keeping them nice and warm and protected, and until they're about 2 weeks old, when the mum and dad can leave the little chickies for a few days at a time and head out for a slightly longer trip. Now, I did mention, sorry, I'm just trying to move the camera and talk at the same time. Because we don't have any penguins crossing just here, I'm just going to pan over to the beach and see if we can see anything at the general viewing stands. Let's see what we've got. Oh no, I think that's just seagulls. I got a little bit excited then for a second, everyone. You can see these are the ones that you might have seen Finding Nemo. The ones that are after your chips and they go, mine, mine, mine. They're not friends, they're not enemies with the penguins, they just kind of tolerate each other. So the penguins are safe to cross the beach just over here too. Another question, Heather?
Yes, Jordan. Folks, there's another 5 minutes left of our live stream. So if you do have more questions, it's a good time to put them in. And as Jordan said, we will be answering the questions. But Lucy would like to know, great question, Lucy, do rabbits harm the penguins?
Do rabbits? So you've probably seen a few rabbits jumping around the place, Lucy. We've got another group. There we go. We've been waiting for you guys. So just like the Cape Barren geese, and we also have wallabies here on Phillip Island. We're focusing. Yep, there we go. The rabbits are herbivores, so they only eat grass and things, so they don't actually hunt or injure the penguins. But what they do is that because rabbits need to have a home as well, they love digging lots of burrows, which can destabilize some of the soil where the penguins are actually digging their burrows as well, which can cause penguin burrows to collapse. So as cute as rabbits are, they're not really friends of the penguins because they make them do a lot of burrow maintenance. And the penguins definitely don't like that. They've been out in the ocean swimming maybe up to 100 kilometers a day, being out in the ocean for weeks on end. They want to come home to a nice tidy house. So thank you so much for your question. That was a really good one. We'll watch these little ones as they hang out on the rocks just here. And I think tonight, folks, this will probably be the last group that we watch crossing the beach tonight, because we are going to, as Heather said, we are going to be wrapping up very shortly. And it takes from between 50 minutes to about 3 hours for all of the penguins to come in, but we actually turn the lights off here at the Penguin Parade at the same time every night, so the penguins know that the lights on is a normal, usual thing. But yeah, the penguins that decide to come in a little bit later when it's fully dark can do that, and we don't interrupt their behaviour either. So we'll watch this little group, see what they get up to, and then we'll say goodbye. But Heather and I think Michael is going to be joining us tomorrow night. We will be back at the same time, same place tomorrow to answer your questions and to help answer your questions and follow these little penguins back to their burrows on land. So please keep those questions coming. They are absolutely fantastic. I'm going to zoom in on these little ones just over here and we'll see what's going on. But bear in mind, if we aren't able to get to your questions this evening, never fear, we will be getting a penguin ranger jumping on this news feed within 24 hours to answer all of your wonderful questions. We've had so many coming through tonight. It's been absolutely wonderful. Look at them, they're stopping. Now this is the penguins' chance to socialise. When they're out in the water, they don't really get to spend a lot of time together because they're foraging by themselves. So on land, when they come home, it's a bit of a penguin party. We can see them, they're stopping here, they're wiggling their tail feathers, they're preening themselves, getting any little bugs or ticks that might be on them, making sure their feathers are nice and beautiful, just like we would, making sure that our hair looks good before we go out and before maybe even going to see husband or wife or the secret boyfriend or girlfriend, because while penguins do typically pair up with the same partner year after year, they can have a few cheeky boyfriends and girlfriends that they visit along the way. And penguins can also get divorced. So if a penguin decides that its partner isn't a very good parent, it will go, you know what? I'm going to find someone else who's going to be a better provider for my family. So the penguin divorce rate on a given year can be anywhere between 18 to 50%, which often can be better than humans, which I think is a bit of a fun fact. It's a little bit hard to know whether these penguins are, if they're just neighbours, if they're following the same route home, or it could be that love affair that we've just talked about before as well. Watch a few of these little guys making their way home along the Penguin Highway. See them waddle, they've got their own different walking styles. They are very, very cute. And if you were to join us here, or if you've joined us in the past in the underground viewing area, you can see there's a window to the left. You would be face to face with these penguins as they walk home. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to have you back soon in the underground viewing area at Penguins Plus, or in the general viewing, which was those beautiful grandstands across the beach just there. Okie doke, let's have a look. And we might finish with these two hanging around just on the rock. So it looks like we might have another group making their way across as well. So guys, it is time for us to head home tonight. I hope you've had a lovely time watching live Penguin TV with Heather and I. as I said, we will be back tomorrow, and every single night of the week we will have rangers commentating and commentating this live stream. So keep tuning in, keep asking your questions. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you are falling in love with these little penguins and would like to help us protect them, remember that you can donate to the Penguin Foundation. The link is just below. You can make a donation or adopt a penguin. And the next time that you come to the Penguin Parade or watch Penguin Live TV, you might be able to follow and identify that penguin that you adopted in that adoption pack as well. So any last little questions, Heather? Anything else to say before we go?
Tune in tomorrow night, folks. We're going to have a full moon. So I'm thinking the penguins will all be wanting to walk across the beach in the moonlight.
Beautiful. It'll be a lovely night to watch the penguins cross the beach tomorrow. Beautiful big full moon, so we should have really, really good viewing. That's all from Heather and myself. So my name is Jordan. This is Heather. We will be seeing you around. Thank you again so much for joining in. And don't forget to donate to the Penguin Foundation if you'd like to help us support the work that we do here. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Bye.